anyways, it's something that, obviously it not only affects me personally, clearly, right? No, really, but like, this affects businesses. This affects communities. There was a place that we were, buying, CBD Delta 9 products from, and they, they are no longer able to sell them. Like, there are going to be so many businesses in the city who, may risk having to shut down because of these restrictions. I don't think this is an accident. I think this is a direct correlation with Kim Reynolds' personal interests. From this article from the Iowa Capitol back in May, when essentially they had the House, what is it called? From the legislative session. These were one of the things that were enacted, and as this episode is dropping today, July 1st, I believe, or yes, yeah. Why don't I look these things up beforehand, Coleman? You fucking. But I think the restrictions that we have already are, extremely ridiculous, especially compared to, when you really look at the fact that you can drive if you really wanted to, if there wasn't risk of, getting pulled over or whatever, if there wasn't that, fear that, you could just go across the border and get legal shit, right? It's even expensive there because they've taxed the fuck out of it. But it's quite astounding how, Kim Reynolds, the person who, ultimately signs these bills, enacts them into law. I get people have the whole debate where they're, the argument where they're like, everybody kind of puts it all on one person, but it's really like the entirety of the thing that's the problem. And they're not exactly wrong, but at the same time, Kim Reynolds is the person who's representing these initiatives. And not only that, but actually putting the finger forth, signing into law, saying these are the things that I'm going to edict in our state, these ridiculous mandates on cannabis, on marijuana. And not even marijuana, really. I mean, these derivatives, these cannabis Delta 9 derivatives that, I mean, for anybody who is in the community, right, who is in the legal Iowa cannabis community, knows it's already kind of shit, right? And I don't know exactly what the cap is right now. It's saying, so here's the part that I find very disturbing about this article. The paragraph. The regulations imposed on such products include an age of labeling requirement for people to buy consumable hemp. The new law also adds restrictions and penalties related to the sale, manufacturing, and possession of hemp-derived consumable products, including a limit of 4 milligrams of THC per serving in consumable hemp products and a 10 milligram THC limit per container. So the sentence that's really disturbing. I want to repeat. Penalties related to the sale, manufacturing, possession of hemp-derived consumable products. So not only selling this, but even possessing it. So if you happen to have some left over, right? Not even. Or if you get it in the mail, or if you just happen to, go over to Kansas, not even get, I don't know. Wherever you can get weed, if it's not the weed, if it's like the derivative of Delta 8, Delta 9, whatever, if you even get something that's so low grade as that, that's so harmless as that. And this was the justification from her, right? She says she has concerns about law. She said, ultimately, I'm signing into law to protect minors from dangerous and intoxicating products. At the same time, we're taking steps to ensure that children who are resistant to medications and suffer from seizures and other medical conditions continue to have access to consumable hemp alternatives for relief. So, I mean, here's the problem, right? Is that these restrictions shouldn't even be here in the first place. If you even want to make the argument that, sure, let's say that there's this enormous percentage of use in Iowa using THC cannabis products. I mean, and that, let's say that's even true, right? I don't know. I don't know if there's studies. I don't know if that's something that has been actually looked at accurately. That's another problem, right? Like, how much of this is actually accurate information? But you look at states like Colorado, right? Like, as soon as they legalized cannabis, like the rates of adolescents using cannabis dropped significantly. All the data shows that making drugs illegal actually reverses the goal of what they're trying to do. They're trying to make these products so people use them, make these products illegal so people use them less. And it actually creates an environment where people end up using them more. And not only do they end up using them more, there's more at stake. So not only are they not able to use these products, they could be thrown in a cage. They can be, have money stolen from them in retrospect, from fines or whatever. This is a very dangerous precedent set. I really didn't think that it could possibly get any lower, that they could really chop, like, that Kim Reynolds would be able to convince anybody in this day and age in 2024 that this could actually happen. I think that's very it's crazy that we're actually there, right? That it actually has once again been chopped down even further. Now, here's the positive of it, right? Here's the underlying positive to this is and it's for places where this isn't the case. I think that's tragic, but I think living in a place like Des Moines, I think the lack of care that is focused around this issue from both people, local cops and like businesses and business owners and just the population in general. Like, I think if you were to walk around and honestly, like, and people were honestly able to answer, like, what do you think about cannabis legalization? Is it something that really should be illegal, that people should be put in prison for? I mean, especially something that is over this ridiculously low cap for not even, regular cannabis THC, but like a different variable of it, right? As far as from what I understand, at least. But like, if you were to ask, every regular Joe in Des Moines specifically, I would be willing to bet that they would say no. There's nothing wrong with that. That person shouldn't be put in a cage for that. But it's interesting, right? This is exactly why I don't believe democracy works, because there's no reason that we living in Des Moines should have these restrictions imposed that, from a person who may as well, I don't even know, maybe she's not even popular, maybe, not even maybe, I'm sure in my mind that the voters in outer Iowa, their values more aligned to Kim Reynolds, or at least what she's purporting to, right? Or at the very least, they just don't care enough about cannabis to really give a fuck, right? To really be like, okay, like we don't care if, like, amongst her bill, like, amongst all the things that they are passing, which, in this, there were positives, right? Like they're supposedly taking measures to restrict the traffic camera situation, which I think is positive. I mean, the less surveillance, the better. That's definitely a step in a positive direction. She also, this is kind of a mixed bag, right? She did chop out quite a few positions in government, which we'll see if this actually. And along with this, she did lower income taxes. So, I mean, with this, it'll be interesting to see if this actually does create an environment that is, cheaper for Iowans to live in, which, the thing that is shitty is there were not even real. I don't even really view it as shitty, but I guess how people can view it as shitty is a lot of the boards that she cut out were for like the minorities or disabled or whatever, right? But I mean, really, my mind. I mean, whatever. I think that's a useless. It's a very useless cause in government in my mind. Like the fact that they really do anything for those communities, I think is kind of, especially for something like LGBTQ. Like I don't really think that there's a lot of precedent to be said or whatever, right? Like the money that's going into that is going into the pockets of the people who are in these quote unquote positions mostly, and then it's dependent upon them to actually produce the work of that, and ultimately they can't, because that's such a vague category of people to help, and it's not really something you can like actually work at. Like the only way you can really do that is you can like select people based on certain criteria and then like give them money, but really all that does is just creates inflation. It just creates the dollar to inflate, which in turn makes everything more expensive and yada yada yada, right? Just the end product of any government program. So I mean, those things are positive. Like it's always a mixed bag, right? But this is just something that's so outlandish, so ridiculous. I mean, feeling like you're living however many decades ago where this was the norm, right? It really seems like this is someone who's just trying to bring that back. Just utterly ridiculous.